Welcome to the good life. Welcome to the good life.
The wait is over.
Welcome to the good life.
And after all the talk, all I gotta say is
Welcome to the
Good morning, and welcome to The Good Life with me, Eileen. We are here on Relationship Tuesday, and we have a packed studio, and we have a packed show, because I'm sure this is going to be a hot topic. It might even be something we have to roll into 2 weeks, because generational relationships, how does it work? Do you know your children? Do you understand your children? Do you understand your parents? Do your parents understand you? Do you understand yourself? Those are the big topics of conversation today. We are discussing generational wealth. But before we really jump into the topics today, I would like to let everyone know, from New Orleans to Spain to Philadelphia to LA to Houston to Atlanta, that we have a brand new sponsor, and I am very excited about it. Gentili Italian Pie is a brand new sponsor of the Good Life radio show. Welcome to the Good Life, Gentili Italian Pie. Uche.
Welcome.
Thank you for holding it down. He doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk. He is the man with the plan, and I just want to tell him thank you so much for Uche and Lewis and Renee and everyone at Gentili Italian Pie. Make sure you go there tonight, y'all. It is $2 Tuesdays on tap at Gentili Italian Pie, which is 4706 Paris Avenue. Today, $2 Tuesdays on tap. So, Uche, what does that mean?
All beers $2. We have 6 foreign. We have 11.
You're one of my favorites.
Yeah, domestic. We got
I don't even
about
drink beer, y'all.
16, 18 beers that you can choose from. All of them be $2 today. So.
Okay, Uche's been my friend, gosh, since high school. And so, I don't know what we were doing, but he had me, where were we?
Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks in Clearview. And he was like, Eileen, try this. I was like, I don't drink beer. And he's like, no, try this. And I was like, I don't drink beer. And he was like, try this. And I was like, okay. He opened my mind to living differently in the world. And I tried Angry Orchard. I was like, oh my gosh, this tastes like candy. And so they opened Gentili Italian Pie at 4706 Paris Avenue. What, a couple months after that?
Yeah.
And he said, guess what we're getting? And I said,
on
what?
tap.
And he said, Angry Orchard. So I was like, yay, that's the Good Life. So they have Angry Orchard on tap, and for all the guys who are looking crazy, but all the ladies who drink beer.
Well, we have Blue Moon, Angry Orchard, Rebirth, which is huge because proceeds go to Roots of Music. So.
Oh, wow.
We have 7th Street Wheat, Nola Blonde. So we have all the local beers on tap, except for the Blue Moon. Blue Moon's the only one that's not. It's a local beer. It's not a local beer, but it comes from our local brewery, which is Nola, which they've been awesome for us from the beginning. So those are the ones that we have on tap, and they will all be $2.
$2, y'all. So make sure you go out and support tonight. $2 Tuesdays on tap at Gentili Italian Pie, 4706 Paris Avenue, because that is the Good Life. And everything over there is fresh. You can try those other Italian pies. You can try that other pizza, but everything over there is fresh. And when I tell you, I have so many favorites over there, I really just don't know where to start. I love the Isle of Capri salad. I know the Isle of Capri salad. I love having that little personal pizza.
But we're trying to get the yakami on the menu.
They have you are crazy. They have this perfect size pizza. Y'all, you got to go check them out. Gentili Italian Pie at 4706 Paris Avenue. And you know what else you got to check out? You have to check out The Good Life, starting today and every day, but make sure anyone that you know that is a musician, a DJ, a songwriter, an entertainer, anything, if they can deliver the good life, make sure that you send them a message to send me a song. Eileen at tglradioshow.com. That is Eileen at tglradioshow.com by December 25th, because that is the good life. Let's make their Christmas wishes come true. The entries will be played on air, and the winner will be played daily as my new theme music. Make sure you have them send their songs to Eileen at tglradioshow.com. That is tglradioshow.com. Now, the topic of today's show actually came up between a conversation between Jamal Greenberry and myself last Tuesday. Jamal, you were having a paper or something you were writing, or you had a class?
It was a presentation.
It was a presentation
on why it's important for why there are more black women in college than black men.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a conversation that we had amongst the students in the classroom, and my answer was that it seems to me that some black men have forgotten the foundation, that education is important. More women are driven basically for education than men, because men want to see the quick dollar and they want to get their money now instead of investing in themselves, and education is part of that investment for making more money. So that's
Kind of
where the conversation started.
So that's where the conversation started, but it really kind of grew from there to generational relationships, because we were like, well, was there a breakdown from, delivering the importance of education and the importance of being a man, or the importance of being a woman, or, why did different groups get taught different things? Was there a generational breakdown? So the conversation grew from there, and I want to let you know that the studio is packed. We have Jamal Greenberry, who's a part of our sportscast at WBOK. We are here with Henry, our relationship therapist. We're here with Ty. We are here with Brian, and we are here with Uche, obviously from Gentili Italian Pie. And I just kind of wanted to break it down with here. Issues of race, gender, culture, and sexual orientation have dominated the diversity arena for some time, leaving lurking in the darkness a difference that causes daily miscommunication and prevents untold numbers of relationships from being built. Generational differences. The unsung element of difficulty communication across generations is often fraught with assumptions, frustrations, and misunderstandings. And the funny thing is, I was trying to have this conversation with an older generation, and they basically were getting upset with me for having the conversation. And so I kind of had to step back a little bit, because, of course, we want to respect our generations. But then I was like, this is the problem that we're having, that we're not opening our mind to living differently in the world. So I want to open the lines to people of all generations, 504-260-9265, 504-260-9265. The environment that surrounds us as you grew up shapes your life in many more ways than you realize. World events like wars, depression, conversely, economic prosperity shapes generations. So does technology. Did you grow up with the radio, TV, computer, iPod, or all of the above? We didn't grow up with all of that. We grew up with the tape, and, you took the little pencil and you twirled it. My child didn't even know what a tape is. Everything, all the music is electronic. Basically he doesn't even know what a CD is. And our parents didn't have any of that. So we really grew up in different generations in technology. It translates into the workplace in terms, this often means different values, ideas, worth ethics, attitudes toward authority, and outlooks on life. We all have to work together. We're in a work environment together, but do we really relate to one another? Go ahead, Henry.
Question, Eileen.
Sure.
Why were the older folks offended in y'all conversation? You said it started like an argument.
Well, it wasn't an argument. I think they became defensive because part of my conversation was if there was a breakdown, because I think when we have this conversation about, why different age groups don't do something, and we talk about the men being a man and they're not men anymore, or men are boys, they're grown men. Well, was there a breakdown, and where was it? Because I was I had this conversation with Uche, and last night, and I said, you can run a marathon. A marathon is 26.2 miles, and we appreciate everything that everyone has done. But if you run 26 miles, did you finish?
Right.
You still have that 0.2.
Right,
so you could have accomplished all the things in the world, but if that 0.2 was reaching back to bring another brother up, to bring another sister up, you missed it.
Yeah.
You didn't finish the marathon.
True.
And we're all responsible for our own marathon, so I'm not putting it on any one generation, because once you become a certain age, you're responsible for yourself.
Well, we've talked about this in depth about, and it's kind of crazy that we're going backwards and talking about it here, but as far as generational, I can only speak for myself. I come from a generation of parents that are both doctors, and of course they pushed and wanted me to be the same thing. And I'm like, there's just another way for me. And that was their generation was education. You got to go to school. You got to go to school. And I'm like, I'm not buying that. I'm like, there are other ways to do other things in life, and both of them for me, I wanted a lot of time and I wanted money. I knew I wanted a family. I knew I wanted children. I knew I wanted things in life. But going to school and doing the things that were set out for me to do in school just weren't going to take care of it. It wasn't enough, Mm-hmm. So I had to think of other things to do, and which ultimately led me to not finish school, you know, as I'm sitting in class one day and, teacher's going off and he's this and he's this and he's this. And I was like, how much money does a teacher make, you know? And that's a great job. But for a student, for me, you're trying to teach me to make X amount of dollars and you make X amount of dollars. So we'll just leave it at X. And I'm like, that was my last day of class. I'm like, that's not enough for me. And, I set out on my own path at 24 years old to open my first business. And that was just my path in life. My parents gave me the path. They gave me the one that I should have been on. I just chose a different one.
And it's funny that you say that because this kind of rolls through the conversation that OT was having on the morning show, because he was discussing how there are many world leaders who are the ones that are generally have, some of the hardest paths sometimes, the people who change the world, who maybe didn't finish college, who had a bad relationship with their parents, who, had a young relationship that ended up, through physical abuse or something like that. But they decided at that point that they were going to change something. What has changed through our generational relationships? Go ahead, Brian.
So I want to say that I think there's a huge piece that to me has to be the kind of undercurrent of that, which is when we talk about generational relationships, we can't ignore the factors that have played such a big role, especially for African American men, as the original question spoke to black men, and kind of a directional shift from education. And I think, as Uche said, we're now the generation that we're realizing that there's multiple ways to be successful outside of education. And even to the point, one of the things I had to realize is even though I am a college professor, there's multiple income streams that I have outside of just being a professor. And that wouldn't have been necessarily what I was told unless I had met additional ways and seen other things. But I think we have to be honest that our parents were told, go to school, get a degree, and work. Because they opened up those doors, or those doors are open up for them. And so when we think about generationally now, and to your point about, and to Henry's question, I think a lot of our elders struggle with being questioned because they feel as though children should be seen and not heard. But what they miss is that once I become 21, I'm no longer a child.
I'm a man now.
And even with our own mothers
18.
and parents.
Lots of people like to say you're a man, especially for men, out the door at 18.
You can't do everything at 18.
Right. So let's call it this, 21. But I think what happens is that generational, and I think you remember this from when you visited Black Psychology class, we talked about the generational transmission of trauma. And that's the inheritance that each generation passed down. And what happens is the further you get away from that trauma, the less likely you are to recognize it. So we're now at a point where why is it that we just have to go to the school and get a degree and work? When in reality, you can be a business owner with an associate's degree or the experience or the opportunities. You can go out and you can have a championship, dog bloodline that's called around the world.
Starting at 18.
And do that. You can be in so many different places. I think those generations struggle with acknowledging that because it would mean in some ways they're wrong. And we all know that nobody likes to be wrong.
Nobody likes to be wrong. And I think you said something to that, especially, obviously I'm talking to black men, where you say, oh, you're that 18, that 21. But I kind of feel like that's running that 26-mile marathon and forgetting that point, too. Because I think there are things as a man and a woman that you still need to learn that are past 18 and are past 21. So do we disassociate at that point?
Still learning. I mean,
right.
I'm still learning. And the most that I've learned has been in the past 4 years. So you talking from 21 to 18 to 38, I've learned more in my life over the last 4 years. Before that, it was just hard work. And then it was like...
Is life really supposed to be hard?
No, it's not. That's what I learned in the last 4 years.
There you go.
Is that it doesn't have to be hard. But you know what I learned in the last 4 years? I like to keep all the money to myself before that. I'm serious.
Right.
I like to keep all the money to myself. And what I learned over these last 4 years is let it go.
Yep.
You got to, and like you said, you have to turn around and help the next person and educate them, because even though you're not in college, you're still educating.
Absolutely.
It's always an education and to help people. So, over the last 4 years, I found out it's like let it go, and more just came.
There you go. There you go. We're going to go to Ty, and then we're going to go to the lines. Ty?
I want to go back to something, that Brian, you were saying about where in some aspects, if a younger generation is able to achieve success, not in the traditional sense, through education or strictly through education or the direction in which their parents tried, for them to pursue. I don't necessarily feel as though the previous generation has to feel as though that they were wrong or some aspect of what they were encouraging their children to do was wrong. I think that's really the epitome of what innovation is and what creativity is. That, as they say, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, and pursuing a college degree and hoping to and have aspirations to climb the corporate ladder. It's not the only way to achieve success. I think it's definitely something that an individual has to look within on what would work for them.
What success is for them individually.
They have to define their own individual success and what will work for them. I think right now we're definitely going through a period where there's a great deal of profit in higher ed, and that many individuals are
schools.
And many individuals are getting out of college with a college degree and still are unable to acquire a job. So it's at that point you have to step back and look at what does the market demand and how do I adjust and accommodate to meet the expectations and the demand of the market in which we live in.
And that is the good life. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to continue this discussion. We're going to go to the lines with Coleman. So Coleman, hold on. We'll be right back. This is the Good Life Relationship Tuesday, Generational Relationships.
L&R Security provides the good life. They make their mark in the security arena by providing excellent security services for more than 35 years and are licensed in more than 13 states. L&R Security's team comes with a wealth of experience from the military, law enforcement, and law enforcement training. Their personnel is comprised of more than 200 employees trained in video monitoring, special event services, convention services, armed and unarmed security guards, ticket takers, executive security, personal bodyguards, hall monitors, and critical infrastructure personnel that are TSA trained. L&R Security services are provided on a 24-hour basis and have expanded to the newest technology, including video monitoring. Find them on the web at www.lrsecurity.com or call them today at 504-943-3191. Again, that number is 504-943-3191. Live the good life with L&R Security today.
Want to know what's happening in city contracting, education, workforce opportunities, finance, housing, and all the things that directly impact our community? Tune in to Urban Speaks, your weekly news show hosted by the Urban League of Greater New Orleans. Catch Urban Speaks Tuesday afternoons at 2:30 p.m. Urban Speaks is an Urban League community news program hosted in partnership with Capital One Bank.
You're on the move and so is your bank. Liberty Bank now offers you the power to manage your money from the palm of your hand with mobile banking with Liberty Bank. Whether you need to check balances, transfer money, or view transactions, mobile banking at Liberty Bank allows convenient and secure access to your money. Enroll today at www.libertybank.net and download our mobile app. You can mobile bank at Liberty Bank to keep the power in your hands. Liberty Bank. There's freedom here. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Renting a car can be an easy thing at A Priority One Rent-A-Car. A Priority One Rent-A-Car, now servicing the New Orleans metro area, is your neighborhood rent-a-car company. Conveniently located at 209 South Broad Street, our goal is to save you money on your rental. A Priority One Rent-A-Car offers daily, weekly, and weekend specials. Our rental rates are inexpensive, starting as low as $30 per day. We accept debit cards, credit cards, and cash deposits. At A Priority One Rent-A-Car, we strive to be a better rent-a-car company with low rates, making it convenient to do business with us. We provide great cars and great service. So phone A Priority One at 504-827-2900 to make your reservations today. Save time and save money. Call 504-827-2900. Why pay more at some of the other rental car companies when you can pay less at A Priority One Rent-A-Car? Personal car insurance is required.
Are you looking for a better way to get fit? Bored with the same old routines? Looking for results or a way to instill discipline in the kids? Tiger Rock Martial Arts is the answer with Taekwondo, kickboxing, and self-defense classes. Tiger Rock diversifies your training in ways that allows individuals of all ages and fitness levels to feel like a champion. Join Tiger Rock today. TigerRockNola.com or 504-455-9694. That's 504-455-9694 with a 3-class starter pack starting for only $38, which includes your training uniform. Learn, grow, and succeed with Tiger Rock's 3 convenient locations: Old Metairie, West Bank, and Clearview. There's no better time to start gaining strength, skills, and protection for life than now. 504-455-9694. 504-455-9694. See you on the mat.
WBOK 1230 AM, the People's Station.
Welcome to the good life. Welcome to the good life.
The wait is over.
Welcome to the good life.
And after all the talk, all I
Good
gotta
morning,
say
good morning,
is-
good morning, and welcome back to The Good Life with me, Eileen. We are here on Relationship Tuesday, and we are discussing generational relationships. And speaking of generational relationships, make sure you take your family to Gentili Italian Pie. They have the best food in the city, the best pizza. When I tell you, when we talk about chicken wings, Aiden's like, we going to Gentili Italian Pie. We going to Gentili Italian Pie, where everybody knows his name. It's kind of like Cheers, Uche. I'm not kidding. We walk in, everybody's like, hey, Aiden, how you doing? I'm like, really?
Yeah,
really?
Really. And
He's like, yeah, really.
And it's real. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not trying to sell up. It's not trying to sell pizza, food, whatever. It's really.
Yep.
That's the atmosphere that we wanted when we had the places that everybody just really knows everybody. I grew up a block away from there. Mr. Joe is awesome. So it's.
It really is about family.
It's Gentili.
It's Gentili. It's about, and tonight, $2 Tuesdays on tap at Gentili Italian Pie, 4706 Paris Avenue. So make sure you're there. Everyone in this room has been there. We all eat there all the time because that is the good life. Sometimes we just hang out and have like a recap of Relationship Tuesday on a regular.
And we're not perfect. We messed up Taifa's pizza last time, so we're hoping she's going to give us
But
another.
I had a wonderful Good Life drink.
Oh, I know.
Majorly
They have a Good Life
overdue.
martini, y'all. Monday martinis. Do not miss it. It's a $5 Monday martini. It is absolutely amazing.
A
He
Kettle
will not
One
tell you what it
martini,
is. A
not
Kettle
a
One.
Taka.
Yeah, you're right.
Martini.
A Kettle One, top shelf. They hook it up because it is the Good Life.
The Good Life martini was fabulous. Sorry, overdue.
We worked on the pizza the whole time, so you should come back in.
And Wednesdays, if you can't get there tonight, they have Wine Down Wednesdays. Tomorrow night they have $5 glasses.
No,
so y'all,
$6.
Oh, $6. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna mess it
All
up.
wines are $6.
But make sure tonight, $2 Tuesdays on tap. Give me some of those beers again.
Blue Moon, Angry Orchard, Abita, Nola, Blonde, Rebirth, 7th Street Wheat. We got Stella. We got Stella Cidre.
And the list
we got
goes on
Dos Equis,
and
Negro
on.
Modelo, Coors, Corona, Heineken, everything.
And I don't know what y'all are doing on Monday night, but if you are living the good life, you'll be watching Monday Night Football with us at the Saints Watch Party at Gentili Italian Pie at 4706 Paris Avenue. That is the Saints versus the Lions. It is going down. We're on a winning streak, right, Jamal?
But it's a
We're on a winning
pointless.
streak.
It's a pointless winning streak.
No.
Y'all are messing it up.
To the playoffs.
Saints watch party,
10,000
Gentili-
things gotta happen.
Well, guess what? But we can all do the family happy hour. We can all be family. We can enjoy a game, a beer, a drink, some fresh food, some pizza, some wings at Gentili Italian Pie, 4706 Paris Avenue. That's where I'm watching the game, so y'all come out and do it with me. And we want to get back to generational relationships because every generation has a purpose. And so I'm going to take a look at each generation, then I'm going to go to Coleman on the lines. During the 1940s and 50s, this generation of people had issues with security. They married young. They stayed at their jobs for a lifetime. Happiness in marriage or career were secondary to security. The 1960s and 70s, this generation was generally less concerned with security. More interest began with drugs, sex, and harsh music. Free love, bra burnings, equalities for minorities, and the sexes began in earnest. The 1980s, oh my, y'all. The 1980s, this generation, things gain importance in this time with people acquiring personal property and power, increasing the debt load. Women made great gains in the male-dominated areas of the workforce, but at the expense of their femininity sometimes. They took on more masculine-type traits. The early 90s, this generation, as they began to get closer, there was a spiritual revolution. People started joining churches, temples, non-religious spiritual groups. This time you started opening their mind. The late 90s was the time of the individual. People strove to become independent by playing the stock market, opening new businesses, or whatever else helped further this trait. Corporate downsizing helped move this trend along. It was the era of the individual. In the 2000s, the new millennium, the spiritual revolution is at full swing and increased interest in different type of spiritual healing because they're wondering, why are people less involved in the church? I think we become more spiritual and less religious. So these are just a little bit of opening your mind to these different type of generational swings. I'm going to go to Coleman on line 2 because he is a part of one of our generations, and we need to listen so we can open our minds to living differently in the world. Go ahead, Coleman.
Good morning to the Good Life crew.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. I'm gonna qualify.
Okay.
I'm 69 years old.
Okay.
So I'm one of the ones that watch things change. I'm a college graduate. When I was in school, we had a ratio of about 5 to 1, 5 girls to 1 male. Mm-hmm. And when I took my kids to college, I noted that ratio must have been somewhere around about 8 to 10 young ladies to the guy. But early on, a young lady, women are better motivated because early on you went to college to get you a better husband and a male, and I'm going to say black male at that time, a degree gave you more money than more of a labor job. Not completely true, but just the mindset of just say a white collar job as compared to a blue collar job. And as time went on, we noticed that the males became more, just involved in criminal justice systems, which eliminated you from going to college. And the women got degrees, which gave them opportunity to be independent of depending on the male to support her lifestyle. And another thing on the social side, it was the woman's responsibility basically to hold the family together, but now they don't tend to want to accept that responsibility. As her girlfriend said, girl, kick him to the curb, he ain't no good. But then you find out the girlfriend's at the curb because
trying to pick him up.
Good man is really hard to find, especially one with a job. So, those are the things that I want to put into it. Because when she became, quote, quote, the breadwinner for the family, it changed her perspective of having more social time is less because now it's more family time. And then where the male was doing certain things in the family, it's not there anymore. So, it went from a more easy life for a woman to a much harder life for a woman.
Thank you so much, Coleman, for your comments. I'm going to have the gentleman respond to you. Thank you so much for your call.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Go ahead, Brian.
So I think Coleman hits on some good points, but there's also some things in there that might be a little stereotypical. So there's a lot of really good research that actually shows that, in all honesty, black men post breakup in relationships stay involved and active in their children and families' lives more than any other racial group. I got the studies to prove it. If you want to email me, I'll get them to you. But I think what he's hitting at is, honestly, we've accepted certain stereotypical behaviors from our communities that really aren't true. And so we think to abide by those. But I think that's also the generational problem. Like, every generation has this nostalgic remembrance of itself as being the most wholesome and most forward-thinking and the most, hard-working, when in reality, every generation has had its struggles and its issues. And what we're looking at right now is that we've missed that connection. That's what we're talking about today, is that we've missed that connection. And one of the realities of, why President Barack Obama can be so influential is because he never denied his mistakes. So, when we talk about black leadership and generational issues, leaders who are fallible are more likely to be seen as someone I can be like. If you tell me I have to be perfect to be accepted, I can't do that. But if you show me someone who's fallible, who's gotten up, you know, that's why that commercial with D Wade, you know, if you get knocked down 7 times, you get up an 8th was so, like, to me important, because like, wait a minute, you get knocked down 7 times, you get up an 8th and you still going?
Right.
That's real.
And I think it's really important that we have this conversations, because this is a group between in their 40s and their 30s. 20s. And we have Jamal in his 20s. So, you know, we wanted to, because that kind of requires our more seasoned generation to listen. But we also want you to call in with your thoughts. 504-260-9265. 504-260-9265. I have a question I'm going to put out there to you. Why were there, and I know listeners are going to call in on this one, why were there a lot of black leaders in the 60s, 70s, rolling into the 80s, and why are there less of them now? Because we can name, you know, like, I want to say like state black leaders. I mean, how many of them? We have, you know, Cedric Richmond, Congressman Cedric Richmond. We have State Senator Karen Carter Peterson.
Black people don't want to be black. That's why. Nah, and that's the point. People don't want to hear it. Black
even
people don't
in the city of New
black.
Orleans, you used to have all of these. You used to have groups all around the city that, you know, maintained their neighborhoods and made sure the information for the political
It's
groups
like, let's go
or
march.
for policy got out through. Where's the trickle down? Where
march.
is the trickle down?
It's just black people don't want to be black. Let's go march. I don't want my white neighbors to see me march. I don't want my white coworkers to see me march. It's too much. Yeah,
they might see me.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose my job, and I got to pay this mortgage next month. I got to get this new car. That's gonna affect. I think one of the things that, to that point, Eileen, we lack leadership now, because if somebody asked me this question, I'm gonna be specific with the way. The question to me was, as a black man in academia, why don't more blacks in academia speak out about a lot of the issues that come up? I said, because I won't use the term here, but I said, because gotta eat. And we've gotten to the point where, and I really appreciate Luce, what he acknowledged was that at some point in time, hoarding and keeping your success to yourself means that you just keep it to yourself and don't really do anything. It's when you start giving back that you really will see your influence and your impact rise and your economic status, right? And so we're too caught up in the rat race. We all try.
So we stop giving back.
Yeah.
Well, the whole giving back and the whole being, you know, wanting to be black is like, you know, in business is like, you know, just recently opened a business, which I could have opened anywhere, to be honest. Mm-hmm. You know?
Right, because you've been successful for years.
I could have opened this business anywhere, but I chose to open it where I grew up, in a good neighborhood, with good families, with good people, with the way I grew up, you know? And, you know, I don't know about, like you said, this generation, but our generation, we were proud to be black, you know, but like, I don't get it.
Let me go to the line. We have Brother Al Mims. Brother Al Mims, welcome to The Good Life. You are here on Relationship Tuesday. We're discussing generational relationships. Go ahead.
Well, I want to say this. I'm 62 years old. I'm a 71 graduate of Booker T. Washington, born and raised in Central City. James Durham Junior High School is not there anymore. John W. Hawkman, my elementary school, is not there anymore. And the schools that are in my neighborhood, like Woodson, they got Kemp names. The identity is disappearing. But I'm a black man. I served on the parole board. I was a world-class fighter. Let me tell you what it is. When you step out, I think why people don't now, I get ostracized because I spoke out on many issues that my community have benefited from me taking the hit. I take a hit. I have lost opportunities because I was branded a troublemaker, activist or whatever, you know. And some of that sounds bad to people. And some of the church members, they go test a lie, but they let you be crucified by yourself. In my neighborhood, I pick up trash every day. People throwing trash out the window. And a lady asked me, I ain't gonna say her name, well, Brother Mims, why you pick up that trash? This is the hood. No, this is the neighborhood.
This is neighborhood.
It's trash.
And
because she won't help pick up the
trash. Do it have to be nasty? And I cut my grass, and I love my neighborhood, and they got some good people. But some of the people in my neighborhood that I've helped, they're the problem. So my point is, why people don't step up and think now? Because you know what they say, man, it ain't worth it.
So we're not stepping up to support each other.
Ostracized, beat up, and threatened and everything else. So what? If I sound bitter, I'm not bitter.
No.
I'm passionate because I understand. And my son is at Xavier. He's a good kid. He's doing all the right things. They call him a white boy because he speaks to people and he politely say yes ma'am and no ma'am. You got to stop it. We got thugs. We got 70-year-old thugs hanging around here. Hello.
Tell them.
Have a great day, man.
Absolutely.
But you're right. You take a hit and they ostracize you, and we got to stop the foolishness. You have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much. So is the problem that we're not supporting each other? When someone takes a stand, we look at them sideways. Why do we look at them sideways? We're going to take a quick break, and we will be back. Why aren't we supporting our community? This is A Good Life. We're discussing generational relationships. We'll be right back.
Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 in the afternoon, The Grapevine will be informing, encouraging, and educating the inhabitants of the greatest city on earth. I'm your host, Braylon B. Banks, and I hope you'll please join us on The Grapevine on WBOK 1230 AM, Real Talk for Real Times.
You might think it's just another day, but at Metro Disposal, this is our day. For more than 25 years, Metro Disposal has been a vital resource for waste management in our community. With state-of-the-art equipment and technology, we are committed to providing a cleaner, safer, healthier environment. This is our community. This is Metro Disposal.
Are you looking for a better way to get fit? Bored with the same old routines? Looking for results or a way to instill discipline in the kids? Tiger Rock Martial Arts is the answer with Taekwondo, kickboxing, and self-defense classes. Tiger Rock diversifies your training in ways that allows individuals of all ages and fitness levels to feel like a champion. Join Tiger Rock today. TigerRockNola.com or 504-455-9694. That's 504-455-9694 with a 3-class starter pack starting for only $38, which includes your training uniform. Learn, grow, and succeed with Tiger Rock's 3 convenient locations: Old Metairie, West Bank, and Clearview. There's no better time to start gaining strength, skills, and protection for life than now. 504-455-9694. 504-455-9694. See you on the mat.
Showtime in the afternoon with John Slade is moving to 3 to 4 p.m. weekdays, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Continuing the message with your issues, your news, and your views. Still here on your station, WBOK 1230 AM. Remember, Showtime in the afternoon with John Slade is moving to 3 to 4 p.m. weekdays, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Continuing the message on WBOK 1230 AM. Real Talk for Real Times.
Hello, WBOK listeners. This is Chuck Perkins, your Uptown Renaissance man. Join me every Monday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to noon for the Midday Mashup. It's where we discuss everything from politics to poetry. Remember, the Midday Mashups every Monday through Thursday from 11 a.m. until noon on WBOK 1230 a.m., where it's real talk for real times.
You're tuned into the voice of the people, WBOK 1230 AM, where it's real talk for real times.
Welcome to the good life. Welcome to the good life.
The wait is over.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to The Good Life. We have a hot conversation with generational wealth, and I want to thank hot, ready pizza all the time, wings, those teriyaki wings are literally mouth-watering, y'all. You got to go check out Gentili Italian Pie at 4706 Paris Avenue. Today, $2, 2 days on tap. Make sure you're there. They have my favorite Angry Orchard, and they have a host of beers on tap. So make sure you go out and visit them at 4706 Paris Avenue, because that is the good life. I wanted to jump right back into what Taifa was discussing during the break, because we were talking about the community and supporting each other, and she has a point she wanted to make. Go ahead, Ty.
No. What I was saying was, to piggyback off of, something that Brian and Uche were discussing earlier, and something we were discussing on a break. I think, one of the huge factors in why there's an absence of black leadership, why many of the challenges that do exist in the black community, is because, for one, we've abandoned many of the black economic principles that have really sustained us for many, many years. I think that if you go back and you think and you listen, and our children actually learn a lot of the teachings and messages from Marcus Garvey, if they learn the teachings and messaging from Malcolm X, and really truly understand their history, especially during segregation, on how applicable that is to present day economic challenges we face, a great deal can change. It allows you to evaluate what's really going on.
Right.
If you go back and if you read and we would practice Kwanzaa and bring Kwanzaa as a focal point during the holiday season, just as we do with Christmas. If you look at the principles of 7 days of Kwanzaa, it focuses on unity. It focuses on self-determination. It focuses on supporting black businesses. And we've abandoned all of that. And there's some aspect of this. I think that there's numerous contributing factors as to why. But it just goes back to how important it is for you to know and learn your history, and not just your history here, African American history, but your African history as well.
Absolutely. We're going to go to the lines because they are lit up. We're going to go to line 3 with Stephen, and then we have a special caller after that. Stephen, welcome to The Good Life. We are here on Relationship Tuesday, talking about generational relationships.
Yes, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yeah, what I think part of the issues is that a lot of people have become content with the way things are now, and to be a true leader, you have to sacrifice to a certain extent to achieve significant gains in the community. And another thing is that what I think is tend to see that person that's been through life and seen the pretty much the bottom, but was able to pick themselves back up and not using their own experiences to try to help people not go the same route.
Right.
People tend to look at their downfalls and be like, well, he used to do this and all that type of stuff there, and not want to follow just because of his transgression.
Right. We're not focusing on how they got themselves back up. We always like to focus on their downfall. Thank you so much, Stephen, for your comment. I really appreciate that, because I think we do that too often. We focus on people's downfall and we remind them of it over and over and over again. How do you ever expect somebody to get back up if all you do is remind them of their past? How do we move forward? You should know your past and you should learn from your past, but we cannot bog them down from their past. We have a special caller on the hotline. We have OT. Oliver Thomas, thank you so much for calling, Oliver. We are talking about generational relationships. We have discussed this, and I'm so excited that you're joining this conversation.
No, well, absolutely. It's always good to, first of all, be on The Good Life with you. And some of these challenging topics, whether it's about relationships between young men and women, or generational, and it's a topic that needs to be discussed, because we hear older people who have these expectations of what they think the young folk and millennials and the other generations ought to do, and then we have these expectations of those who come behind us who say what the others didn't do or should have done. So it's always good to see where people's opinions fall.
Absolutely. So how do you feel about this? Because I think you're one of our spokespeople, and you're kind of fit in you speak out on WBOK all the time, and you're kind of like right in the middle of it. You have the opportunity to listen to our older generation, but you also literally put your hand on the young generation every day, because you reach out to the young boys.
Well, I think we have to begin to be intentional. I'm always amazed how when we say we have a problem in an area, but we want it to fix or solve itself. No, it's going to take resources. It's going to take conversation. It's going to take intentional relationships. You know, it's just like race. If there's a problem with race, then we need to foster relationships along racial and cultural lines and be intentional about it. Go out of your comfort zone. The same thing with generation. But there's a couple of things in myths that we need that need to be dispelled. First of all, with the whole conversation about young people paying their dues, anybody getting up every day, working hard, trying to make a difference, you're paying your dues. So a lot of older people need to kind of get out of the way. Stop telling folks to wait their turn. If, you know, if it had been for folks waiting their turn, a lot of people who've had a turn for 30 years wouldn't be in the positions that they're in right now. And then the other thing that I rail against from a lot of the younger people is that what somebody owes them. Well, even if they owe you, if they haven't given it to you, that means they can continue to owe you. So why wait for them to pay you back instead of you doing what it takes to make a difference yourself?
Absolutely. OT, dropping the knowledge. You're opening people's minds, living differently in the world, and that's exactly what The Good Life is all about. Thank you so much, Oliver. I'm going to have the my co-host respond to you.
I'll continue listening and keep doing what you guys are doing.
Thank you so much.
It's fun. You have a great panel always.
Oh, thank you. All right, guys. What do y'all think?
I think if you know, as we go into this, you know, this holiday season, and this is not to denounce anyone who, you know, celebrates Christmas. I do as well. I grew up in a household where we both celebrated Christmas and Kwanzaa. But the point I want to make is the importance of carrying on traditions. Traditions were put in place at one point or time in our history and in family units for the benefit and the strength of the family and of the people. And I feel as though many of the traditions that have made us as strong of a people as we are, we've lost those traditions. And I brought up Kwanzaa earlier, and I think it's relevant just simply for the, you know, as we approach the holiday season. When I was growing up, you know, there were numerous Kwanzaa celebrations that were taking place throughout the city. And when I would go there was an abundance of people there. You know, the Treme Center was filled with people, and it was the information that was being shared allowed children, before they could be brainwashed, to really develop a strong sense of themselves.
Oh, but I'm glad you said that, because I really feel like there's a difference between traditions and restrictions. Because I think there's a lot of times, and Oliver spoke to this, that, and I wanted to go to the young first. Sorry, Jamal, but I'm going to go to the old because it just kind of flowed into that. Restrictions. You can take the traditions like the unity, the community, the self-determination, the giving back, but the restrictions of this is how my life worked, this is how I think your life needs to work. And if you don't abide by my timeline, and then you don't abide by the road and path I set out for you, then you're no good, you're not perfect, and I'm going to remind you every day of what you don't do.
I think that's going all the way to the extreme, though.
But I think a lot,
you can't. I don't.
But it exists.
It exists, but not every single silverback or older generation manages their relationships with younger generations in that manner.
I
think more do than you. Go ahead.
I just want to say, I think we're speaking to that point of what we were all told: do as I say,
not as
I do. And I think, Ty, what you're hitting at, and Eileen, and I think what OT hit at is something that I want to say that I think Taif is getting at, is we talk about what we need, but our generation has to get outside of the struggle of thinking it always takes a whole bunch of time and money. Exactly. So we have to give back, whether it be a few dollars at a time, whether it be a few hours at a time. And we've gotten away from that. And that's the other part with the generational problem is they act like they did everything by carrying boulders everywhere. They didn't. The Montgomery bus boycott, the Baton Rouge bus boycott was one step at a time. And they give us this story as though like, oh, if you're not strong as this, if you're not this smart, you can't do it. No.
Well, my thing is what I try to tell young people and advise them is, you know, when people tell you why, it's like, why not? Why not? Those two simple words right there. Well, I want to be an astronaut. You can't be an astronaut. Why not? Not why. The question isn't why, it's why not.
Help me get there.
I have a question for you, Jamal, because we talked about this. I talk about this all the time, but I really got into this last week about fear, teaching our children out of fear and instead of teaching each other out of love. my personal opinion is that we've been taught out of fear for so many years. Through slavery and everything else, we've been taught out of fear. We haven't been taught out of love. At what point are we going to stop teaching out of fear? Because fear keeps us paralyzed. Love opens us up. At what point are we going to stop teaching our children out of fear? Just like you said, do as I say, not as do as I say, not as I do. That's teaching out of fear. At what point are you going to say, you know what? This child's going to grow up to have their own mind, and I want to open their mind to living differently world. I want to plant a seed in them that you can be anything that you think you can be, as long as you put forth the effort, you're disciplined, and you put one foot in front of the other, and you put God first. You can accomplish anything in the world. Instead of, you can't do that. If you don't set this path, you're not going to get there. What was the difference for you, Jamal? Because you're in your 20s.
Well, I'm actually 30.
Okay, so 30. Well, you just made it.
Well, fear, it can only, go for you. If you're confident, if you have the confidence that you can do anything you want to do, well, fear.
Were you taught differently?
Yeah, I was taught differently. I'll make this as an example. First time stepping on a football field, excuse me, that I had fear that, okay, can I play the position? Can I do just as much the next man can do? But I learned that, okay, I'm stepping out, I'm going to step out and I'm going to do my best. And that's the way I approach anything in life. I approach anything for as that, yeah, you are scared at first because you don't know, okay, how it's going to turn out in the end. I'll use this as an example. Working with Ro Brown, that can be fear right there. This man is, he's a sports guru. Plus, he's knowledgeable about things. So, the way I look at it is like this. Okay, I'm going to, go in there with the confidence that I know I can do it. And I know that I can achieve these obstacles that is in front of me. And I'm going to just have the confidence that I can do it, right. And all it takes is just practice, work, and basically research. And that's how I approach anything in life.
We have our lines lit up as well. I'm going to go to line 2. Sekou, welcome to The Good Life. We're talking about generational relationships. Were you brought up in fear?
No. Let me just say this to you. I heard the whole Taifa, the sister who always had the beautiful insights.
Yes.
You did capture my heart, my sister. Anyway, let me just say this. We cannot dismiss the larger social forces, economic forces operating in the society of African people, right?
Right.
So when we look at from so-called Emancipation Proclamation of President, my generation, I was born in 1943. So I understood some of the prevailing social forces operating against me in my society as an African-American male growing up in New Orleans. Right? I know about Emmett Till. I read about, I saw a picture. I saw his brutality exhibited, delivered upon black people in this society for generations, right? So I started digging into the history of our people in the society, right? Then we start seeing clearly that if you look at the black writers in the Maya Angelou, Amiri Baraka, Akeem Murabuti, all our black psychologists, all our most important writers was writing about the question of empowering, lifting black people up psychologically, culturally, everything else, right? We cannot be chocolate-colored white people, right? And this is our generation, and even I see a lot of young brothers and sisters today, they repudiate the European culture. They got some of the most beautiful black women in this country is right in New Orleans with beautiful African hairstyle, all different kind of wraps around their head. They're beautiful women, and they repudiate the European so-called standard of beauty. There's a lot of this very complex situation we find ourselves in the Western Hemisphere.
Absolutely.
We're African people who've been captured in the West, right? And so we've been struggling against that for centuries. And what's happening now is that we reforming, like the sister Taifa was saying about Kwanzaa. You look at the writers of our generation, my generation, Sonia Sanchez, Nika Giovanni, there's been thousands of brothers and sisters hung on every word of those writers, right? Akeem Murabuti, Baba Raka, poetry. So all that drives our perspective. Frantz Fanon is one of the most important psychologists, liberate the African consciousness, African mind away from European oppression and European so-called internalization. So this is a very complex conversation.
Absolutely,
and y'all need to have another name.
I think we are.
Pick up this tomorrow because this is a very fundamental problem we face as a people is cultural
invasion and cultural aggression have destroyed our people. And the biggest break right now, as far as I'm concerned, I can relate to brothers in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I'm 70-something, right?
But we have
to do that. I can relate to anybody because I understand that the bridge. I'm a bridge of those two cultures. I understand the transition that have been made, so I can relate to anybody who got an strong intellectual bent, who have also have a cultural consciousness.
Sekou, thank you for calling. I'm going to need to. We're about to close out the show, but I really need Taifa to make this point that she was making about something that you said about the economics. And we were talking about this in the break, so I need you to make it quick because I need to finalize some stuff. But the economics of not giving back and, the importance of, making sure that we, as a community, support our black businesses as a community so we can rise up. We're only as strong as our weakest link, y'all. We can't just become successful and then run away with it. Well, what's going to happen to the rest of the community? Who wants to sit at the top of the hill by themselves?
Absolutely. So the point that we were discussing, and I know at one point on the break, was the concern and fear that many black people feel because that they feel uncomfortable speaking up about a particular issue. They feel uncomfortable standing on the front line and protesting or marching or taking certain controversial stance on positions that impact a large group of people, not necessarily just black people, but numerous communities of color, right? So the concern was that because my employer, it may impact my ability to make money. And I think if we go back to, and I don't mean to bring up Kwanzaa again, but one of the principles in Kwanzaa is cooperative economics. It's to maintain our own stores, shops, and businesses, and to support one another. And if when you look at Kwanzaa, each of the principles are so simplified.
So did we get away from that?
Absolutely.
At what point in our generation did we get away from that co-op?
Because if we were supporting,
people think white man's ice colder than theirs. That's what.
Hello.
We moved to Metairie.
Hello. Well, we are going to continue this conversation. We're going to continue this conversation next Tuesday on The Good Life. Generational wealth, generational relationships, and generational cooperation, economic generational cooperation. We're going to discuss that next Tuesday on The Good Life. There is never enough time on Tuesday, but there is enough time tonight at Gentili Italian Pie, 4706 Paris Avenue, $2 Tuesdays on tap. They have every beer you can imagine. My favorite, Angry Orchard. Make sure you're there. Monday Night Football is next Monday, Sunday, Saints Watch Party, Gentili Italian Pie, 4706 Paris Avenue, the Saints versus the Lions. We're going to be there in the house because the Saints have started a winning streak, right, y'all? It's all going to go down at Gentili Italian Pie, 4706 Paris Avenue. Make sure you're in the house
the victory.
because that is The Good Life, and I'm out.